Nothing?
You getting paid for this?
Okay.
Volunteer work?
We'll give it just a few minutes before we start as a courtesy. We're going to get to just a couple minutes. Someone else is on their way. The good news is it's drier here than it was last night. Literally.
It was leaking?
Oh, and it was
Showers?
like a lake,
This room was full.
and there was buckets all over. And if you walked, one of the urinals stayed stuck open, it's automatic flushing. It just ran and it was pretty bad. But look, it's good.
Yeah, it looks pretty clean. Steam clean.
Okay, we'll get started. Okay. I will call the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting to order May 19th of 2022 at 7 p.m. If I could have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Greg will not be making it here tonight. Holly is on her way in. If we could have a moment of silence for Linda Lee. She was employed by the town of Southbury since 2012. She worked 2 years in the fiscal office and 8 years in the police department as an admin. Prior to working for the town, she was employed by the probate court for approximately 15 years. If we could have a moment of silence for her. Thank you. Next up is a presentation by Rabbi Polikoff and Ed Edelson on the 85th anniversary of the Boone. If you'd like to put that up there, I'd like to hear from you.
All right, well, thank you. So good evening, and Rabbi Eric and I are on behalf of a much larger ad hoc committee that includes the First Selectmen, Region 15 administrators, Southbury Historic Society, Economic Development Commission, the Southbury Community Trust Fund, and the South Britain Church, wanted to keep our Board of Selectmen and town up to date on the current plans to commemorate the 85th anniversary of when Southbury said no to the Nazis. It's going to take place this coming November. So permit us to review some background as we get you up to speed on what we're up to. So I think we're all proud of Southbury's special role in American history in being the only locality in America organizing to keep out the Nazis by thwarting the German-American Bund's plan to establish a camp here. At a town meeting in 1937, it's estimated that all of the adult males who lived in the town attended the town meeting. much like tonight. But however, when we look back on that, there's one woman's voice that really stands out. Maureen, if you can go to the next slide. Let her speak. We'd like her to speak a little louder. We can try that again. As we say, it worked this afternoon. As a backup, I could probably do the words. I've heard it so many times. No, that I can't. Yeah. Well, basically, that's Jenny Hinman, who's a descendant of some of the, as I understand it, original people who came to Southbury back in the 1600s, speaking about her ancestors, including Colonel Benjamin Hinman, who reported directly to General Washington, that they all fought for freedom. And we want to stand in solidarity with those ancestors and stand up. And she finalizes by saying, we must keep the Nazis out. And then you would hear the whole town meeting, people at the town meeting cheer. But we do have another clip coming up, so if you could keep working on the sound, that would be good. Okay, so pretend like you heard that.
Right, and just about Jenny Hinman. Jenny Hinman addressed the town during, that was a staged reenactment that took place a few months later for the newsreels. Southbury was known at that time throughout the United States for its bold and prescient action. However, the story and her words began to fade from memory, and newcomers did not learn of it. For example, it's not referenced on this very familiar sign appearing on our slide. But thanks to Joyce Hornbecker, a former Southbury town clerk, and her efforts in 2007, it began a relay race that has taken the story from almost total obscurity, even here in Southbury, to now state and national prominence.
So next in that relay race was in 2008, and there's my clicker. You see, it just didn't. The next step in the relay race actually was with Rabbi Eric, because in 2008, he wanted to have B'nai Israel honor the town, the United Church of Christ of Southbury, and the South Britain Congregational Church for their role in the events of 1937. I tried to take that PowerPoint, which I believe was his first, into a movie that was put on YouTube, and it did not go viral. I think we're up to 10 people have seen it. But by 2012, and with the help of the town, the clergy, and the Southbury Historical Society, and a few other community groups and individuals, that began to change.
And our next slide. This is in 2012, Southbury's own Scott Sniffen premiered his documentary. It filled the 1,000-seat auditorium at Pomperaug High School. And our next slide.
You think we've got it working? Oh, really? This is my favorite piece. There are too many words in this one. Well, this is the end of a second documentary that Scott did with regard to how the community responded when they saw the premiere at the high school. Various people are interviewed along the way, but if you could keep going just a little bit, Noreen, just keep it playing, and I'll do the audio. And Scott's reflecting on his film and the impact it had on people, and in particular, the descendants of Reverend Lindsay, this being his three daughters, and that one right there is Lois. And Lois was so taken with what the town had done and the impact of the story of what took place there that she hands Scott literally a note that's coming up in a second, which is a pretty famous quote from Edmund Burke, or at least associated with him. That's a picture of the people going into town hall and packing, not town hall, but into the church, because the town hall was too small at that time. And here's Scott kind of thinking about that. And here's Lois reflecting on how the film really struck her and about what it said about her father, Reverend Lindsay, and handed Scott this note: "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." And then Lois says, "But the people of Southbury did something." And that's what I think this whole thing is all about, in remembering that. So someday we'll have the sound.
And the next slide shows you, that's the next day around, you can see in newspapers, it really, the reaction was really, really impressive. So that was 10 years ago. And if we go to our next slide, Home of the Brave has been shown on Connecticut Public Television. Southbury's story has been retold in numerous other venues, and now, in the last few years, including the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, amongst others. And I think that's our next slide, is the exhibit.
Oh, I forgot to put that picture in. That's my fault.
Okay. So, but what that slide shows is that when you go to the museum right now in D.C., you cannot go past the panel, which talks specifically about Southbury, and there's no way of getting out of the museum without seeing Reverend Lindsay's typewriter. And so Southbury has a very prominent role when you see this exhibit. It should really make us very, very proud. I think, go up one more from Lois's story. You can see the panel, you can see Reverend Lindsay, his typewriter, Americans of the Holocaust, and there's pictures specifically saying that Southbury says no. So we've learned a lot about the story in the last 10 years. Historians have learned more about the story, and we ourselves have also learned a lot in 10 years. There's been such great work by historians, including our own Melinda Elliott of the Southbury Historical Society. And I guess if we go back to...
Go back to, I think it's number 9 or 10. No, go up. Sorry about this. Up at least one more, if not 2. Here you go.
Here we go.
Okay. So, and down 1. Okay, so that's a lot of the stuff that's happened. So back in November of this year, we began to think about the coming 2022 would be the 85th anniversary. And given all that's happened, we thought it was a good opportunity to tell the community as a whole what's gone on, what we've learned from this, and because we are a dynamic community where people are always moving in, I'm always amazed how many people now know nothing about this story. I find that a lot in Heritage Village as an example, but I see it throughout. And there is so much we've learned that we can share, but there's also, as always the case with history, important for people to know about this so they can apply that going forward. So with that, we started to put together a group. You've heard some of the names. They're there below. They're also on that sheet that we just passed out. And we wanted to see if we could put together a weekend of events that would celebrate what has happened here in Southbury. As noted at the top, we put this documentary film together. It's because of the quality of that film that I think all of those things you saw on the prior page came about. People resonated with that film. It really helped to tell the story and help spread the word. So as listed there are some of the reasons we think is a good idea. Remind the community about our core values and that as neighbors we share a special history that we should all be proud. Explore how the story has been disseminated around the country, not just here in Southbury and not even just Connecticut. Talked about the findings of the Holocaust Museum, the fact that it's been shown in the venues we've talked about, that we are finding Southbury is talked about at panel discussions throughout the country. Earlier this, I guess it was late last year, Washington State University had a panel which featured the Southbury story, usually contrasting it with what happened in other communities. Because as Rabbi Eric said, we're the only ones. That's our motto, right? The one and only. Well, this was one of those cases where we really were the one and only that stood up as a community. And again, the scholarship of Melinda Elliott, who is in the process of publishing a book that should come out this coming fall. And also a little bit about the use of the book Lois's Story that I'm the proud author of in our school systems. And just as an aside, later in June, there'll be a webinar held by the Connecticut Department of Education that will be targeted towards all teachers throughout the state about using Lois's Story in the classroom. So in general, it's all about offering our chance to explore more detail the lessons from Home of the Brave as they apply to the world we live in. If we go to the next one.
And so what you see here, we have a proposed schedule of events. If there are any, so Friday, November 11th, Saturday the 12th, Sunday the 13th. If you have any particular questions on any of this, you'll let us know. And our final slide, specifically, here we go. First Selectman Jeff Manville is supporting this effort. We are so grateful for the town's help. We expect that there will be ways that the town might be of assistance, and should anything, of course, require this board's approval, we know you will hear from the appropriate committee. And again, thank you so much for this time to update you on what plans are, and we're all looking forward to going forward into November.
So,
Any questions?
is there any questions of the group? If you want to digest the, I think I could say that we'd welcome anybody who wants to be part of this or join in with this going forward.
No, I just thank you guys for coming and everything you've done with this project. And if you could keep us updated and whatnot as to the, events and as it comes forward. One question I had, not about this, just the display at the Holocaust Museum in DC. Is that a permanent part of the museum, permanent display, or is that?
Well, there are two sections. It's not a permanent part of the display. It's a display which is lasting for several years and is then going to go on the road. But it's absolutely, Southbury is part now of what they do and what they teach. If you go to the museum's website and they have the Lindsay papers, they have a lot of stuff now about Southbury, and they've really sought to use the stuff which they have. There's a book, there's a documentary which is coming out. We don't know what is in that documentary by Ken Burns, but we do know it is going to focus on America and the Holocaust, and we're hopeful that there'll be references to our town as well.
We do know that Ken Burns was here and went through the archives at the Historic Society. Obviously very tricky. The museum, it's called Americans and the Holocaust. His documentary, 3-part series in September on PBS, will be called The United States and the Holocaust. Pretty slick change of, see the difference? I guess there are copyright issues regarding that. But it looks to be, although we haven't seen it, to cover very much the same territory as the exhibit from 1933, when Hitler takes charge of Germany, all the way through 1946. And again, I'm repeating here, but if you get to the exhibit, it is very clear how differently the Southbury story is told and shown than any other, because we're in a room all by ourselves. Every other story, there's a panel about this and a panel about that, and your eyes are just being like overwhelmed with what do I look at next, what do I look at next? But when you get to the Southbury area, there's only one story being told, and that's us. So we think we all should be very proud of that. And at the same time, I think we feel a responsibility to make sure as many people as possible know that story.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, you have?
I was just going to say, I'm, only 4 years in the community, and just after hearing you speak about it with so much,
Me?
love hearing you talk about it, and
That's all I talk
the
about.
book and the presentation and the documentary. it makes me proud to be here in this town, and I talk about it often, and I share the story as much as I can. So totally support it and love it, and,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
May I ask a question
Now,
very quickly? What does number 3 mean?
so, what's that?
Well, well, if you could, right outside here are the original zoning regulations. We have them on a wall. But unless you know anything about it, you couldn't really tell what's so special about those zoning regulations. So-
I don't get the connection to number 3.
I'll explain that to
Will
you.
you?
Yeah, you
Or if
can go,
wanna step
go ahead.
outside.
Why don't you, thank you. You can, Ed, go explain to Carol the zoning regulation.
No,
What-
that's not my question. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks again. Yeah, thanks, Rabbi.
thank you. Okay, next up is public comment. Is there any public comment? Is there any, state your name?
My name is Sharon Scarlett, Heritage Village. I can honestly say that when Ed put together a trip to go to Washington, I was part of that, my husband and I. And it was very profound. It was wonderful to see how they put that together to incorporate within that building. And I have to say, it was very impressive. And I did enjoy the trip very much so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment?
Yeah, I have something. So you know I'm going to.
Please, come on up. Come on up, 2 minutes, please.
Yeah. So my name's Carol Winship, and my comment refers to the work that's going to be occurring at Exit 14. And I have learned that the beautiful array of trees right at 14, across from Sacred Heart Church and next to Maggie's, are going to be removed. So I'm very upset about this. Not only are they beautiful trees, they form that corner. So if there's anybody here who cares, who could find out why they're going and do they have to go? Because we lost all the beautiful trees at Exit 16. They were there one day, and the next day they were all gone. Right over by the Dunkin' Donuts plaza, if anybody remembers this. And apparently the same thing is gonna happen at 14. So if somebody could find out, and maybe we could learn some more and get some voice involved in this, I'd be really happy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Hearing none. You have your announcements and correspondence in front of you. You have your reports from the departments, staff reports. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Someone?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent.
Thank you, Justin. Jason has seconded. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And it carries. Minutes, April 21st of 2022 and May 3rd of 2022 special meeting. Can we take them together with a motion for approval?
So moved.
I wasn't here on the 3rd.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Made and seconded? Any other? You second it? Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions from John, he was not here, correct? Thank you. All right. Next up is a discussion on the health district. I was hoping that both of our representatives from the health district could be here. I think Mr. Hunter is here. I think the board has some questions about what's going on with the health department. how we got to where we are and what your feeling is in representing the town on this. Some of the concerns, one of the concerns I have, one of the concerns of this board is the equity and equitable solution for the three towns that originally formed the health district. It seems to the board, I think, that it's a little not working very well in for the town of Southbury. And we've come up with a business with a budget that, I mean, this was not developed just by me. This was in working with John Michaels and with Dan Colton and myself. And there's issues described in there, including the fees that are expected in the district from New Milford and Washington. They seem to be pretty low. So I'll open it up. Do any of the board members have any questions on this? If you want to, so one of my questions for me is the amount that we expect from revenue from the town of New Milford and town of Washington. And the statements are that they don't know how much they'll bring in from a fee standpoint. One of my concerns is I was given this information on the FOI, and this was for the town of Washington, a presentation I believe was given by the Pompey Health District, proposal for merger and financial analysis. Is there two different fees for Southbury, Woodbury, and Oxford versus New Milford and Washington?
I don't know the details of the fee structure for the different towns. I believe the budget was made based on the best information available at the time, an estimate, and it's kind of an unknown situation given the reporting structure of the way the fees were reported in the past. So it was a conservative estimate, but an estimate nonetheless.
So for me, I have a document here. You're saying you don't know that there's, I would think that would be pretty important if we merged and there was two different rate structures.
Well, I mean, the rate structures may have been different I don't know the answer to that. The rate structures may have been just different historically, and there could be an issue with changing the rates all at once. There's many factors that go into deciding the rates on the different fees, et cetera.
So for me, I seem to be the bad guy here. But I have a document that was presented to to Washington, and it said merger proposal and fee schedule. First, I want you to note that on the website, there is no fee schedule up on the website of the Housatonic Valley Health District. And I'm also concerned that our representatives would not know this proposal and if there's a different fee structure. And what it says in here is currently there's a 47% gap between fees charged by the district and those charged by the town. That's the proposal they made. Over the course of 4 years, fees will be gradually increased.
Okay.
That's a little concerning to me that are other board members concerned with rate fees that are graduated in over 4 years? I don't understand that. If they join, if a town joins a school district, the cost for educating the child per child is the same. The fees should be the same. And as a representative of Southbury, I'm curious how you would not know that.
I haven't seen this presentation, so I was not aware. I did know that the difference of the fees would be increased over time.
You did know that?
We had discussed it at a board meeting, and I don't remember the details, but it seems reasonable to increase the fees over the course of time, as opposed to jumping the fees 47% in one fell swoop.
So do you think,
That seems reasonable to me.
Holly, do you think that's reasonable on a merger with a,
So I'm struggling to figure out, why there was, I guess what I can't figure out is we've got a town with a substantially larger population than this town, and why the original contribution would have been so much less. I just don't know how that didn't raise a red flag to say something's not right here and this math just simply doesn't add up.
The estimates were based on what historical information was available, and it was the best estimate at the time, and it went into creating the budget. And if we overestimate the fees and then the revenues don't come in as they actually are, then we could be over expenses. We could be over budget. That we have to keep it in balance, or make an estimate at the time. And that's what the management team did, was made that estimate. That's all I can say about it.
Justin and I don't know how, we were never told that during this merger, and it would be merged together, that there would be graduated fee schedules. I don't know what to say. And as a representative of the people of Southbury on this board, I don't think that's representing the town very well. That it's okay to do a graduated fee schedule that's costing us more and more revenue than a brand-new town that's moving in.
The fees are not changing for Southbury.
But they're a member of this. Why wouldn't it change? They joined us. This is the fee schedule. Why would it cost a citizen of Southbury $200 for a septic inspection, or whatever the rate is, but 47% less over the next 4 years for a town that's saving hundreds of thousands of dollars by joining this district? Is that representing the town?
I'll have to take your concerns back to the board. That's all I can say. I can't.
But this is not
address
representing the town. 47% gap, they knew about it. That was never told to us. If I had not FOI'd,
Is this both towns, or is this the Washington proposal?
I believe it. Is it both towns?
I don't know. I've not seen this presentation. No, I haven't seen this.
But you do know there was a graduated fee schedule.
I remember talking about it at a board meeting.
But you don't know if it was both towns.
I don't know if it was both towns.
John?
I mean, I guess and the reason I'm not jumping in and, is I'm kind of confused just about like where this came from. This is out of context, so to see the entire presentation, to see what it was in context, and then I guess when I'm looking at the budget and what they presented is that it's just a reflection of, or it is a reflection of what Southbury paid last year into its health department, what Washington, what New Milford, as these numbers are charged for a septic inspection, it's $200, whatever the number is, it's flat across all the towns. And then so if Milford, Washington, they do several hundred of them, we do several hundred, they're gonna be way over budget because they're gonna have been, this is the way I would think that it would work, is they would be way over budget because they collected the fees, but they collected much more than they anticipated. But if they're actually saying that there's two fee schedules, and we're a little bit out of context or not knowing, because we don't know what the fee schedule is. But if they're on one health department has a fee schedule for one town versus another town, and they're doing the same work, that's not right. But we don't know that exists,
It's,
because we don't even know the date
Mr.
of when
Hunter has
this
just
was.
said that there is a graduated fee schedule. He knows about
Yeah,
that.
it says it right here. They're gonna gradually
So-
increase the fees. So instead of changing immediately on day one, by bumping them up by 47%, it's gonna graduate over time so that it catches up and the, and then the fees will be the same.
Did-
How do we get a list of the, I mean, I guess I'd be more interested in actually seeing what that means in real dollars. So,
I would think,
is we able to get like a list of what?
Yeah, we can,
what that
we
means?
can get a list of all the fee schedules and provide them, sure, no problem.
I have a question. So, should the circumstance arise that one of the new towns has incurred far more expenses than they've contributed, how is that being accounted for? And what's paying for that? Is that the money that the three original towns have already contributed? Is that dipping into the bucket, so to speak, that our taxpayers have already paid into? Or is there gonna be a true-up? So for example, they only contributed this, but they cost this. Will they ever reconcile that difference?
Well, the per capita is equal among the towns, across the towns. And the fees are paid based on the services provided, so they're kind of separate, they're separate. They're not reconciled together or anything like that. Did I answer your question?
I'm not sure I fully, I guess I can't, it's just not, it's not the way that I can imagine looking at it from any other budgetary perspective, it makes sense, right? So we've got a very large town coming in that's contributing or expected to contribute far less than even the next larger.
Well, the per capita is the same, so that town will contribute more because they have more people. They'll contribute more to the budget.
because they're taking more services.
Not necessarily.
Well, the more people, you would have more services.
Not necessarily though, because the services are like septic inspections. I don't know how many houses there are in Southbury versus new houses going up in Southbury versus new houses going in New Milford.
But that's a
I
fee
don't.
schedule, not a per capita. That's a fee schedule you pay
But
for.
the budget comes together and then it pays for this. It pays for all the services, and part of the services are paid by are paid by the fee schedule.
So today I had a meeting with the CEOs, and according to what I heard from the CFO of New Milford, they do know what kind of money, because I do know a little bit about municipal money coming into a municipality. I know Justin does, being on the Board of Finance. These fees, excuse me, these fees coming in are accounted for in your municipal, we've gotten checks from people, whatever purpose, and we look at it and say, what's the purpose? We have to account to some account what that is. We can't just deposit it, we have to know. New Milford does know, my understanding, what they have had in the past. So, but we're being told that they don't know. And then we come up with a 47% gap that the health department does know. And we come up with a representative for the town of Southbury, representing the people of Southbury, who thinks it's okay that Southbury pays more than the new people joining. They don't want to pay the fee, they don't have to join. Would that be correct? And if they are saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in their budget, they could subsidize the fee schedule themselves if they want. But they're looking to us, the three towns, to subsidize this health department. Is that wrong? Is that not true?
I don't see it that way. I think that the health districts are coming together, and there's increase in services across all the towns, and the per capita remained the same from last year to this year, and
But our
so
fee-
I think it's a better deal for Southbury as well.
Our per capita would have been lower had the $133,000 been rolled into the current budget for the 3 towns, which would have offset the per capita rate. So we would have been less had it not merged. So my other question is, if you're talking about these increased services, what increase in services can we expect than what we're not getting now?
Increased capacity for septic inspections, increased capacity for restaurant inspections, increased COVID testing services, increased community health programs. There's all of those services are increased, improved for the town of Southbury.
Was the Pomperaug Health District, which you are a board member, not meeting the obligations of the Pomperaug Health District in inspecting our septics and giving our vaccinations during COVID? Was there something wrong?
They were satisfactory, but we've been hearing that the turnaround times were extending, and so now the turnaround times on those are reduced, and we're able to do a lot more.
This is concerning to me. I don't know how the taxpayers of the town of Southbury feel about a town coming in, 2 towns coming in that are getting this discount. I'm not too happy about it, why I would have to pay to get an inspection and find out New Milford is. And the fact that, I assume Dr. Nee knew about it also?
I don't know if he did
Well,
or
so
not.
if you knew that he would know.
Well, I can't say, maybe he wasn't at the meeting. I don't know. I can't say.
And this, I think, is some of my concern, is we don't seem to know what is going on. And it's not being communicated to this board. I think if this board had known there was graduated fee schedules, I thought they would merge and we would be together. I don't get this. And what I'm concerned with is that our representatives either don't know what was going on, which is important on this merger, or that you did know, and we weren't told that there will be a graduated fee schedule. And you're representing the town of Southbury. So my question is, do you feel the Pomperaug Health District failed in their mission and responsibilities of the 3 municipalities that both you have been a board member for some time and since it's been formed? I mean, Dr. Nee was, I believe, there when it started. Do you think the Pomperaug Health District failed in their mission?
No, I don't think the Pomperaug Health District failed in its mission. No.
Yet that's kind of what is being told out in the public about anomalies in the accounting by Lisa Morrissey, that there's anomalies in the accounting, and we get a clean.
So can I address that comment? So that was referring to, that was taken from a statement made by a press statement made by, like a statement to the press, like a paper statement. She did not talk to the press about that, and they quoted her. But it was referring to the issues with the former director that, and those financial issues are currently part of a state police investigation, and they were not covered in the scope of the audit that you're referencing.
So I do know from the reporter that Lisa went to him and discussed with him that there were anomalies in the accounting.
Okay. So anyway,
and there's an investigation going on.
Regardless, there's an investigation. It's a state police investigation into the former director who is suspended and is no longer the director, obviously. And so she was referring to that.
She sought out a reporter to discuss it while there was an active investigation.
I don't think you're characterizing it exactly how it is. You know, you'd have to ask her, but I don't think you're characterizing exactly how it is.
Oh,
I mean, it was reported in the paper. Everybody knew that there was an investigation going on.
well, I do know that according to the reporter, that she did seek him out to tell him that.
I didn't get that story, but okay.
Well, my problem is it seems like there's a lot of, this is a major deal. And it just seems that we, as the legislative authority here, I don't think we had any idea what all this was about, given these things. And I think it's disappointing. I don't see the benefit. I have yet to see what the benefit is going to be to the people of Southbury with this merger, when we already had a health department that was working fine. Audit report, maybe the accounting was a little sloppy, but there are no issues with it. I find out that we have a 47% and a 4-year rated. I don't get that. Anybody else?
I mean, that 47% and that, fee steps over time would seem to be representative of the surplus that was in the account when they merged. So I mean, somewhere that is being still covered there, the health department is paying for that, and if we're all paying the same per diem per capita, then
Yeah,
that
but
money's coming from somewhere.
The per capita will go down if their fee schedule was estimated correctly. This is a gift to the town of New Milford and the town of Washington. This is a gift to them to join a very financially healthy health department that was operating just fine. That's what that is. And our representatives knew about it. At least Mr. Hunter knew about it. I'm looking also, Lisa has been coming around and saying there's an MOU between the town of New Milford and the health district. I've asked for the MOU. I have an email here. I nicely asked if Lisa Morrissey would send it to me. It should be pretty simple. 8 days later, no response. So I FOI'd. Is there an agreement with New Milford Hospital and New Milford?
Are you talking about New Vance?
Is it New Vance or is it?
I don't know I know of an MOU.
What's the MOU? Tell me what the MOU is that you know is out there.
Okay, sure. So during COVID, the various towns needed to, in order to work together and share staff, in order to cover vaccination clinics, there's various licensure requirements that make it more difficult for towns to work together and organizations like New Vance and the health district to share resources. These MOUs were encouraged by the state to alleviate those regulatory licensure requirements, make it so that the New Vance, for example, and the health district could work together to supply staff together to do more vaccinations and run the clinics. And there's no financial exchange between New Vance and the health district related to that at all.
They supply the people free?
Yeah, they supply the people for the vaccination clinics, and we supply our people and we run the vaccination clinics together.
Okay. So how does that bring value to the health district that we had? One of the disturbing things I found is that I got a call from one of the volunteer nurses. There was a group of volunteers that did all the vaccinations up at Pump Rock School. They did a very good job. Neil ran it. Everybody got vaccinated. They, my understanding, have been disbanded, the volunteer nurses that did this. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
Well, Helena Jelinsky then has called me and not telling me the truth then.
Well, I don't know what she
She
told.
said
I don't know what she told you.
That they were told they were no longer needed. So,
There were policy changes made relating to the vaccination clinics. There was training required for the staff that supports, or the volunteers that support the clinics, and those trainings had not been kept up to date, so they needed to be updated. And so the health district enforced that policy, and it required training for people. And some people, I can't say if the woman you spoke to was upset because of that, but that was one thing that some people were upset about, but the training was required. The other change with the vaccination clinics was that in the past, gloves were not required during the vaccination clinics, and the health district decided the policy of requiring gloves, and that in line with, sanitary or medical guidelines, and some people were upset about that. So those were the two pieces of feedback that I got relating to the Medical Reserve Corps, but the Medical Reserve Corps is still in place.
okay.
Were the trainings that needed to be done, were they offered to those folks? Did they decline to do the trainings, or were they made available?
The training was before the health district came together. The trainings were not offered, and now the trainings were offered.
Okay, so somebody had the opportunity to opt in.
Yes.
This whole thing has been, I don't know, I mean, I'm not hearing much from the other board members here on this. I don't know. I'm hearing a lot from the public about, I've not heard anybody speak positively about this. And they're asking me what the heck is going on. And some are asking me what our representatives are doing. I personally do not think you've represented the people of Southbury in this merger well at all. This graduated fee schedule that you knew about should have been brought to our attention, and never should. It should be, if you join the district, you pay like everybody else. And I question who you're working for. I really do.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the citizens of Southbury, which you represent, are not represented here. That you didn't say, I don't think it should be a graduated fee schedule. It should be the same fee schedule for everybody. I mean, is that an enticement enticement for the town of New Milford to come in, or would they have said no? They're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars on this. And yeah, they're being given a graduated fee schedule when they're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to ask you, do you think that's right for the taxpayers of Southbury?
The fees did not change for the town of Southbury, and in order to make the merger happen, this was part of the arrangement, and it will catch up over 4 years. I don't know 47% of Washington's, I don't know how much that is. It could be $100, it could be $1,000. I have no idea.
So they would have said no if you said you
No,
had
I don't.
Come on. 47% gap in this merger, and you said no, if you want to be part of this merger, you want to come in, that you need to pay the same fees, they would have said no, and it wouldn't have happened?
That's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying it was one element of the entire arrangement for the districts to come together. I'm not saying they would have said no if it would have been, if the fees wouldn't have changed. I don't know. That wasn't part of the arrangement.
Who made this arrangement?
The
The
board approved the arrangement, yes.
which you were part of.
Yes.
Justin, how do you feel about this?
There's a lot I don't know, Jeff, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, when you say there's a 47% gap over 4 years, I mean, yeah, that's of concern, but, you know, it could be thousands of dollars, it could be hundreds of dollars. I mean, is this both towns? Is it one town? I mean, even the stuff that you got back from FOI is like pieces of a slideshow. It's not the whole thing. I mean, there's a deficit of information, which is definitely concerning. I'd love to know a little bit more about what you guys talked about yesterday as well.
Today.
Are they gonna play ball with us? Are they gonna try to make an equitable arrangement? What
My
was-
indication from Mayor Bass and Jim from Washington, they are not.
Okay, that's disappointing.
That was what they had said. We're gonna try and meet again. To see, get an explanation from, I've done an invite to Lisa and the chair, their finance people, if they wanna bring them, and the CEOs again. To see what we could do to make this, more equitable than what's happening here. And again, I keep getting red flag after red flag of things that were not told to us by our representatives, and this right here, that they gave away a 47% gap and a graduated increase over 4 years to make this merger happen. If we're saving the town of New Milford hundreds of thousands of dollars on their budget, their people should be able to pay the same as the residents of Southbury.
How do we get this whole, I mean, I guess, to Justin's point, one of the issues here, and the reason I haven't had much to say is I don't have, I need to read documents in order to educate
Well, I would have
myself,
liked to
and
know that I was gonna have to answer this question before I came here today too, but okay.
So-
I agree with you.
How does the board gather documents? Because my sense is from conversations that it's been difficult to obtain information. So how do we expedite the situation where if we want information, we could gather it all, so we could all have all of the information that's available and requested?
Well, I would like to think that if you wanted a document and you don't get the response from the director, from the health director, that you would come to me and I could ask the health director and try to facilitate gathering the information. I would like to be able to help with that. I wasn't asked in this situation.
Help,
So-
the director should be answering to the CEO of the town to supply
I
public
don't
information.
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. She should provide whatever information you need. I totally agree with that. And if she's not, then I think you should ask me and I will ask her and we'll get the information for you.
So maybe one next step is First Selectman's office puts together a list of everything they've requested already and gives it to you.
Great.
And you can see if you can gather that information.
I would be glad to do that.
Town, so the town can then look at that.
Yeah, I'd much rather do that than have to answer to something in a Board of Selectmen meeting when I've not seen it before and having to recall from 6 months ago board meeting discussions. That would be much better to be communicating effectively among all of us.
So here's the problem. The presentation that was given to us in this room was not the same as we were told. And this should have been in that presentation to us when they discussed it to the Board of Selectmen of this. This was not shown to us. I am looking to trust my partners who we do business with. And so far, what I've seen is this new health department, Lisa Morrissey, and our representatives are not sharing all the information so we can make a good decision. This should have been shown or told to the Board of Selectmen. My opinion, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm looking at this, I would have said, why, I would have said right from the beginning, why would that happen? I could have frankly cared less if they joined or not, because we were in fine shape. Everything was good. Everything was fine. Now we have a problem after they join.
I think it's a good situation for Southbury. I think the services are improved. The health district is being run in better compliance with regulations and more efficiently. And I think it's a better situation for Southbury. That's why the board voted for the merger to go forward. That's why.
John,
I think that when the presentations that were given to us and the discussions and the conversations, and it would be a better deal, and I hear everything you're saying on that per capita number, but was all presented equal, and it would have seemed that the other towns were getting the same presentation and the same information. But to know that, I think we're also kind of feeling a little bit like taken advantage of, because we didn't know that we were supposed to be negotiating with these people to see how much we could get out, whereas these other two towns got something more than we did, which just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like that should have been the process. Equal for what our tax value is, and then equal for what our fees and work is. And then if we were getting a little bit better services, but they came in and had to pay a little bit more for what they were paying less for because it was included in their taxes or something else, it needed to all just wash out level. But to hear that somebody got a discount coming in and we didn't get a discount coming in. So I, more so than asking like about the rest of this document or the rest of the other documents we have piecemeal, I'd almost like to just see what were the presentations, what were the commitments, what are we not even seeing yet? Is there other documents?
and John, another thing that bothers me,
I think the book needs to be opened up.
when you talk about transparency and keeping things from us, the fee schedules are not on the website. Why? Why are the fee schedules for Southbury, Woodbury, and Oxford at this service is $200, and for New Milford, it's only $125? That's transparency. And for some reason, they're not putting it on that website. For some reason, I have to FOI to discover this. I can't simply ask for information so I can get it to the board. It's like a stall tactic so that we know what direction we're going. Right now, I can tell you the direction I'm leaning towards, because it's not transparent at all. Not at all. And our representatives are not being transparent with us at all.
I wasn't aware you were asking for this document by a FOIA request. I would have tried to help you get this information. I didn't know you were asking for that.
Then the director should be held responsible for it. FOI is a simple thing. Frankly, it's a simple thing. Neil Lustig FOI'd me the information that was sent to me. It's a public document. Ship it right off. I shouldn't have to fight months and meetings to get this to happen. And then I'm looking here is, what's our representatives doing? They knew about this and never spoke to us, told us, to John's point.
Please don't put words in my mouth.
No, but the
I think
presentation.
that we need to be more cordial in this, Hunter, as far as like saying, this is our problem, this is how do you help us get to the right place? How do you help us get this information? What he's saying is, we're having a problem with the director, go to our representatives and let them represent us. Or we need him to help us. And if there's something that he buried or hid or misled, then that's a different story. But right now, can you dig up the rest of this information and help us understand what the differences are from town to town, and where are the differences? And explain to us, like, if that was the reason, because this was going to be a big hit for them, and for us, we were already paying it, so it wasn't a big hit, then if we're going to...
Yeah, I can tell you in what I recall from the discussion of this, it was intended to gradually get them up to the same. And I don't remember what the amount was, but it was intended to smooth the transition, and that was, that's why I recall thinking that it was okay to do that.
And this is Washington, it has just, what is it, 5,000?
Could you get that information for us? I mean, can I get, is Lisa gonna be forthcoming and give it to? The municipalities are saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if this is if this fee schedule is only $50,000 a year, they should just pay it and be happy, because they're saving hundreds of thousands. It's like we're getting it on both ends.
It's a difference from the town paying versus the individuals in the town paying. There's kind of different, so it's slightly different than what you're describing. You're right, the town could maybe subsidize the fees or something. We could have arranged for that. We never talked about that, but
I guess the part that I'm just having a tougher time about the 47% is, this is like a one-time charge that an owner or builder or somebody was paying. So it's like, if they were getting lesser service, or maybe it was just, Jerry going out and looking in the hole to do the inspection, and now it's a real inspection. But we're talking about a couple thousand people in Washington. We're not talking about all the other towns that got the same discount, or I don't know. But if they went from paying $10 to $200, well, that's just, it went into alignment, but it's not like that was part of their whole business plan that just got flushed down the toilet. It's one line item on a fee that they're paying, and it just became aligned with, it's like when registration used to be $10, and then it went up to $250. It went from, what it shouldn't have ever been to a real number. You just dealt with it. But and that's why I'm just curious. Again, it's out of context. We don't know how many people this is representing, how many permits it's representing, how much fee structure it's representing. And does New Milford have that same?
Does New Milford have a graduated fee structure?
I don't know. I'd have to find out.
Holy cow.
No, you gotta ask a question and we'll find out, right?
Well, question, our representatives should know this as part of the package put together. You don't know, you said
I'm
you
sorry,
knew about
I'm sorry,
Washington.
I'm not prepared to answer the exact question that you're asking about the graduated fee schedule. I will have to go find out.
But you knew about Washington, you said.
I knew that in some cases where the fees needed to increase to catch up, that it was gonna be graduated. I don't know the details of every single fee and every single fee schedule right now. I can find out.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head, and I'm just gonna use very unrealistic numbers, but if, let's say it was budgeted that, New Milford was gonna pay $5 for something, and it wound up costing $10, that's coming out of the surplus of the original 3 towns paid into, right? Like what we actually have in assets in the health district, right? Like 3 original towns built this district, had some equity in it. Was there ever a plan to make that right, to reconcile the, if they were to double the expenses of what is budgeted for, how does that ever work out for the 3 towns that built that?
It's my understanding there's no precedence for towns joining another district to pay into the district or anything like that. That there's not a precedent for that. It's not typically how it works. So we didn't talk about any sort of reconciliation like you're describing or anything like that.
My other concern is it's coming to me that Lisa Morrissey is courting other municipalities. I think we need to straighten this out first.
I agree. We should not.
She's been to
We should not.
Brookfield.
We should not add any other municipalities
she is-
until we have you all feel comfortable with all the information you need, and we can make the decision. I agree.
She's been to Brookfield, she's been to Sherman. I'm like, we haven't even got this, and we should know about this. Or you should know if she went. Did she even tell you she was seeking out other municipalities?
We've talked about the possibility, and it's never come to a vote, and I won't vote for it until this is, until you all feel comfortable that that's a good deal for Southbury.
Okay. I would hope that you would speak to the chair and also to Lisa Morrissey and ask her to quickly provide the information that I request without having to FOI to find out what the MOU is. I would like to know how the MOU works with Nuvance. I'd like to know, does Nuvance and the nurses get paid from this agreement? I doubt those nurses are working for free, or whoever is involved in that.
I will confirm. The district does not pay the nurses, and the individual organizations pay for their resources in those arrangements. I will confirm that. If it's not that way, I will let you know, but there's no exchange of funds between the organizations as a result of the MOU.
What I'm saying is I don't think Nuvance is working for free giving vaccines. They must have getting income. When Neil Lustig was giving vaccines, our own Board of Finance questioned the revenue. And if Pomperaug Health District needed money because of the pandemic, Southbury would loan the money to the district up front and sort it out later so that this district could stay solvent. Southbury was gonna come to the plate to make sure that no matter what, Pomperaug Health District was in good shape, no matter what happened in the pandemic. And what we came about, if people remember, was that the revenues from giving the vaccinations through insurance and the government, there was revenue come in, I forget what the revenue, they made money. So my question is, does Nuvance make money in this arrangement?
I'll find out. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll find out.
Not many people working for free today. So you will speak to Lisa Morrissey, hoping I don't have to officially FOI and wait however long?
If you give me the list of things you've requested, and I will ask her about them.
What I'll do is I'll send the request to Lisa and copy you.
Okay?
So I can, but I just don't understand why she seems not to want to get the stuff to us.
I think she should get it to you. I don't know why either. If you had copied me originally and you didn't receive it, I would have asked her about it.
And that's concerning as the CEO of this town to get other information from the Director of Public Health. I never had to do that with Neil. And I never had to go to a board member. I just don't, I'm having a problem with this. We value our partnerships with our region, and we valued our partnership with Pomperaug Health District. And I want to feel that at some point, if this is going to continue and we're going to stay in here, there's an equitable solution, and that we can feel that we are partners and not left out in the cold like is what I think it feels like to me with this merger, including the biggest percentage of the population for the Housatonic Health District is in Southbury, correct? Per capita, we're the biggest area, Woodbury, Southbury, and Oxford. And everything you look at,
The three towns have the higher population than New Milford and Washington put together. That's
did you
right.
notice anything on the website? Has everybody looked at the website? No. Take a look at that. These are all indicators to me that we're not.
Do you have specific feedback about the website? Because I looked at the website. You've mentioned this in the past, and I looked at the website to try to understand what your specific concern was, and I couldn't find anything. So can you help me understand what
New
your
Milford is
concern is?
always, they're always listed at the top. Housatonic Health District, New Milford at the top. It's always,
Yeah, the towns are listed in alphabetical order.
oh, okay. Okay. All right. I will copy you on that. I will try to get the information we need. I would hope it wouldn't require our attorneys talking to their attorneys and not getting FOI requests in what is supposed to be 4 days, and then having to have our attorneys follow up. It's pretty simple. And this is disturbing to me, because here we are at the board, and I don't have answers for you, because I can't get answers from the health department.
And I wasn't aware that you were not getting the documents you need, so hopefully I can help.
Do you want to know something interesting? We have a document that is signed by Washington, by New Milford and Washington, and states on that document that New Milford is to get 2 more votes than any other municipality.
I think we talked about that before,
We
right?
talked about that. What's interesting is I FOI'd any information of the communications about doing that, and I am told there are none. That document was just signed and there were no communications. What's really
Meaning
fu-
no email communications or?
Right.
Okay. I don't know about that.
That would be hard to believe in my world, that I would bring a document to the town of Oxford and say, George Temple, let's sign that. Yeah, sure, Jeff. That there's no communication no email communication about that. This is why I'm losing trust. Trust in the health department, trust in Lisa Morrissey, and frankly, trust in you. So hopefully we can get this information and know what the fee schedules are, why they're different, why they were given the bonus, who made these decisions, and why we were not told. Not the same presentation that was given to us. All right?
Okay.
I have a different question. So these issues have been brought up, right, about budgetary issues, and there were letters sent to the board, and I think some selectmen, I think Jeff went to your budget meeting, whatever. Has there been any discussions at the board level about the budgetary issues that have been raised, or what? I know that CEOs have talked about meeting, and I guess they met today, and they're gonna try and meet again, and I think that's great, and people need to keep meeting and having discussions. But I'm just curious at the board level whether there's been any communication about that.
At the last board meeting, we agreed to have a separate working session without, not a board meeting, but a separate working session to go over the budget concerns. It had to be canceled because 2 of the town's CEOs had COVID, so that meeting didn't happen. But we have not talked further about the budget concerns as a board.
So we have till December, I believe, to make a decision, this board. of
A
whether
decision about whether to
Whether we're
stay.
staying or not.
Okay, I thought it was June, but okay.
I believe it's December for next July. The decision will be made before the timeline. That's
Okay.
all. A decision will be made by then.
Okay,
So if we're gonna salvage this, we need to keep moving on it and get the information and get something, because weeks go by, months go out by, time goes by, it's delayed. It can delay all at once. A decision will be made by this board, one way or the other. All right? And if we don't stay in the health department and keep the other 2 municipalities in it, Oxford and Woodbury, this health department will collapse. Okay? So we want to try and keep this together if we possibly can, but I cannot do it if my partners are not cooperating to make it palatable for everybody. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Okay, I am in favor of keeping the health district together. I think it's the best thing for Southbury. And so I think we're aligned in that.
Hopefully, we can make this work. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just to follow up, whether it's June or December, because I thought there was like very much urgent here, because I thought I heard June last time we were together.
I'll double check on that. I'm pretty sure it was December. I thought the last minute was December, but we will. Could you let me know?
I will find out, yes.
Then we'll know.
Was that something that came up in the presentation they gave us? Is that when you're recalling from?
And I thought it was last time we were having this very similar discussion.
It was mentioned at a budget meeting, but I believe there's a state statute that indicates that you have until the end of the year to give 6 months' notice before the next fiscal year. So it's like a December deadline for the following July 1.
Yeah.
It should be confirmed, because it's a question of whether there's a substantial amount of pressure on everybody right now, because if the board's forced to make a decision without information, whatever, that's a problematic place to be, and, June is a couple weeks away. It's probably be the end of June. Ideally, it's December, and there's time to have more of these meetings and more discussions and gather more information and come to a reasoned decision.
And again, my problem is I can't keep having to wait for FOIs and delays of, this should be important. Like, this should be, we need to keep this district together. We need to present the material to them so they can fully understand. Everything I've seen so far, from getting budgets and getting numbers, has all been like pulling teeth. And it keeps coming across to me a delay tactic. And I know the conversation that I had with Lisa Morrissey, with Dan Colton in the room, when I said, listen, we got to put the brakes on this. We got to talk about this. And basically I was told, too bad, you have 3 days. And I was like, really? That's how I'm treated as the CEO of Southbury? Really? Too bad? And Dan Colton can confirm that. So I keep thinking that there is a reason they are trying to delay, not get the information or whatever it is. But I will get the information one way or the other. I can promise you that. I don't make many promises in my life, and I think Justin Betty knows where I come from and my family. I make you a promise, I will get to the bottom of it. I will get the information one way or the other. She needs to understand that. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Okay. Under new business, Jeremy Swamp Road, I don't have I will be getting, our attorney, Tom Kalin, talked with Planning Commission to explain to them why we can't abandon the road on a legal issue, because what happens is if it's abandoned, the owners take to the middle of the road and it's not accomplishing what we want. So there's a group of steps that we're gonna have to take to accomplish what we want, which is like a linear part of open space. So they explained that to planning last night before, when planning met. And I will get the correct 824 referral to planning to start the process. That's why we've done a A2 survey of the entire piece, meets and bounds and where everything is. So we have a legal description of the property to put on the record, the legal description, and we're gonna have to get some people to sign off saying they relinquished their rights and get that all straightened out. Jeff Tinley had said before his passing, he said, you need to do this right. There was a case where it wasn't done correctly in like 1860, and then in 1930, they had it was no good. It wasn't done correctly. So we're gonna do it correctly, gonna get it done. Hopefully we can get this done before the Jeremy Swamp. So we'll keep it, the dirt portion, and get that done. Any questions on that? Okay. Next up is the Strategic Planning Commission scope of responsibilities. John, could you come up and Abby, what you're working on?
I sent everybody a list of our agenda, so everybody should know the items that we're working on, which were approved by the prior Board of Selectmen. And the priorities come from the site of the Community Assessment Survey that was done in 2017, 2018, that formed the basis for the strategic plan. So that's what we're working on. And we know the scope of our responsibilities. It's on the website, and everybody is aware of it. So if there's any concern, we can discuss it.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you, I'm getting some concerns from the Planning Commission. One of the concerns is the affordable housing. So I think, in my belief, the affordable housing is being worked on by the Planning Commission. They have their consultants, and they're delivering the plan, the draft has been delivered.
Right.
So I would think with the indulgence of the board here, I don't think do you feel you need to help them or work on that?
No,
Okay.
if you recall, we presented to the board in March, I think it was Catherine Smith and Ron Conti, our research on affordable housing, and that was basically it, and we were out of it at that point. I think the confusion is that there's a community group separate and apart from us. If you recall, we had a meeting in December that you called because of a similar concern. And at the time, I said we were curious because we were seeing articles, letters to the editor and so forth in Voices, that there was this grassroots organization. So we said, who are they, what are they doing, and why are they doing it? And we found out who they were, and we said, to the chair of the Planning Commission, here's their contact information, contact them. That was on December 15th. I checked with the people at the grassroots organization. There's never been a meeting between land use or the Planning Commission since that email of December 15th. Why, I have no idea. However, I did say to this grassroots organization that they keep us informed, and they have. So I've kept the Strategic Plan Commission informed of what this group is doing. And in our last meeting, I said that they're forming a 501c3. They've got a board of directors, but they're a community group. They have nothing to do with the Strategic Plan Commission. There's another community group that we found out that wants to do arts and culture. Has nothing to do with the Strategic Plan Commission, but they just pop up out of the community. So I'm not in charge of it. I didn't set it up. However, I want to monitor what they're doing, and I've copied the chair of the Planning Commission on all of the meeting reports that the Strategic Plan Commission does. So the chair gets a copy of all of our communications. They get a copy of our agendas and a copy of our meeting minutes. So we know our scope, we're within our scope, but we can't control community groups that say they want to work on things in the community. I mean, you can't do that. So I'm not confused. Other people may be, but Jeff, I understand the scope of our commission, and we're staying within it.
So I'm just wondering if we even need to have the affordable housing even on the agendas now. for a strategic plan, if we either need to do that and let,
Only from the standpoint of keeping our members informed of what the community, if you want me to exclude it, I'm happy to drop it.
you know.
But I think what I would suggest that the planning commission engage the community group so they know what's going on in town, so that they're not blindsided. If I weren't reporting on it, since they've never met, I don't know that the planning commission would know what this group is doing.
They were referred to the planning commission though, right?
Yeah, I've got the email, I got a copy of it here, and for whatever reason, I can't explain it, but there was never a communication or a meeting between the planning commission, the land use office, and this grassroots group. And the grassroots group they're really charging out there. So if I weren't reporting it, you guys would wake up one day and say, oh boy, look what's going on. So,
Okay.
once again, we're within our scope. Unless you change our scope, we're within it.
So, and the other thing is, the question is are we, on the future use of the training school, St. Michael's has been referred to planning commission?
As far as I know, once again, I don't know if they do outreach. We do outreach, we talk to everybody, because the strategic plan is a community plan. We asked the community, how do you see the future of Southbury? And they told us. So this is a community plan. It's not a strategic plan commission. We're doing research on behalf of the community. I would suggest that the planning commission do more outreach and be more curious as to what's going on. I'm very curious about the Southbury Training School because we gave a report to the Board of Selectmen of what happened in Mansfield and what happened at the Fairfield Hills, where the state ran out of money, they closed the schools, and they deteriorated. No heat, walls caving in, it was a disaster. We don't want that to happen to the Southbury Training School. So I can't not be curious, and I'll stop reporting on it if you tell me to. You're the boss, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. But I think somebody needs to monitor what these folks are doing and tell everybody. And so far we're the voice, whether that's good or bad, or if you say, John, don't talk about St. Michael's, don't talk about affordable housing, we're happy to do that. But we're doing it internally, and the reason that planning knows about it is because I copy them on it. So
Okay.
that's my story.
And you're working on a plan for best use of town-owned properties. Did we give that initiative to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, what we found out is there was 125 pieces of property over 2 acres in the town of Southbury. We didn't know if there was an inventory. We researched it, there was none. We went to the assessor's office. They very kindly gave us a list. So we said, okay, where are they on the map? So we got a map, and we're trying to figure out where they all are. Once again, if that existed before, we didn't know it. It exists now because we did it. Now, the ultimate use is up to you guys. We do research on your behalf. We do no implementation. I don't know if people understand that. You guys should, because we work for you, but we're a research body. We implement nothing. And if you say we're over communicating, tell me and we'll back off. But right now, we're very transparent, and we'll tell you everything we know. We'll even tell you things we don't know. That's how transparent we are.
All right, so I think part of this is the planning commission feels that they should be doing, when they, I think if you have the inventory for the properties, that would be okay.
We've already talked to them about that. Mitchell Goldberg is working on that, and he's met with the chair of the planning commission. So that has happened.
Okay, because there seems to be some overlap on the responsibilities of the planning commission, and we need to be careful with the statutory requirements of these boards and what they're.
We're volunteers. We have no statutory authority. We're a research body. We implement nothing. We have no authority to do so. And we're very clear. If you go to the website and you look under our listing there, it says scope of responsibilities. And I look at it every morning when I wake up, just to make sure we
You gotta
don't.
get a life.
Just to
I
make sure we
kinda
don't.
believe that you do that.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
So no, we're clear on it, but I would encourage the planning commission to do more outreach in the community because, as I say, there's now some arts and culture thing that's come up that I've just found out about it yesterday. And guess what? They want to make a presentation to the Strategic Plan Commission. So once again, I'm happy to talk to everybody. What are they going to say? I have no idea. What do they want to do? I don't know. But when I do know, I'll tell you. Because number one, I'm curious. Number two, we take good notes. And number three, we distribute them to everybody. So, and if you guys want us to change that, just let me know.
And there's Sustainable Southbury, they're working on the sustainable strategies.
Yes, and we're going to back off on that because Chuck Liddy's doing a great job. By the way, Sustainable Southbury also has an affordable housing piece that they're working on. I've told that to planning. I don't know if Chuck has talked to the chair of the planning commission or not, but you've got Sustainable Southbury working on affordable housing. You've got the grassroots group working on it. You've got planning working on it. You've got SLR working on it. Everybody's working on it. We're communicating to everybody.
Yeah. But I think that grassroots that's out there should be communicating directly with planning.
I agree 100%. And vice versa. They ought to be talking. Once I got your email, Jeff, I said, have you guys met? They said, no. I said, I've got a December 15th email that says that I asked you and planning to get together. Hasn't happened.
Okay. So right now you're working on, these are the things that, these are the list of things that you're working on.
Yeah, and we're going to make some presentations. We're getting ready to make a couple more presentations to you. We were slowed down by COVID. We currently have a vacancy that I've talked to Noreen about that hopefully will get filled shortly. But for the most part, we're plugging away and we're doing a great deal of research. And when we're ready to present to you, we'll come back to you and make it schedule.
So the affordable housing plan, we should be all set with that because it's been presented, the draft, and we shouldn't need to.
Right. As I say, the only reason I talk about it is because I'm monitoring the outside group. If you say don't monitor them, I'll stop. It's up to you.
It would be nice if they spoke to them directly. It sounds like it's almost like a game of telephone, right? Where it sounds like one person says one thing and then,
I would be happy for them to get together, and I've suggested it in December. They just haven't done it. This is May.
sounds like it, yeah. It sounds like there's sometimes, you know how it goes. Sometimes there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and everybody's trying to figure out who's up first. So I think it would be good if there's a group of people that are interested in a subject, that they talk to the body that is ultimately responsible.
I will follow up again with the grassroots group and tell them to march down to the third floor and talk to them. I mean, I don't know why they didn't meet, Jeff. I can't tell you.
Okay.
And by the way, since the chart's up there, we're happy to do research on any other subject. So if you say, John, we've got this health district thing that's confusing us. I mean, I've heard tonight's presentation, which is amazing, what you've said. For example, that would have been one thing that we would have jumped in. We'd have driven down to New Milford, and we would have gotten whatever information you wanted.
You would think.
No, we're
Maybe we should test it.
we're pretty tough. We've got some pretty
I
smart
think I should
folks.
threaten to sick John Monteleone on too.
We've got some pretty good people on our commission. They're very, very smart and very diligent.
That I would agree with 100%.
Right.
And the other thing I would say as their liaison is that if the head of the Housatonic Valley Health Department communicated in a way that Mr. Monteleone does, we wouldn't have any issues. He circles everybody in. Maybe it's over communicating, but I don't think there's any such thing. But anyway, it's a great group of people. And they're certainly not trying to step on planning's toes, so.
No, not at all. Our job is to help. So, as I was saying, if you want to add anything, that's fine. If you want to take anything away, remember, we work for you. So, look at the list. If you think we should delete or add, let me know and we will do it immediately.
Well, I think part of the strategic plan group is to monitor and make sure these things are being worked on.
Yep.
So if I'm seeing the affordable housing plan is being worked on and it's come to fruition, we shouldn't have to do anything more on that.
As I say, the only reason I'm reporting on it is I know stuff is going on out there, and I don't know if anybody knows about it. If planning is talking to this group, I'm out of it. You don't need me. They can talk direct. What I heard was that they had not yet connected, so I was filling the gap. That was it. If they connect, I'm out.
So now they've got I distributed the draft so that we're just, for us to make comments on that.
Yeah, the thing to be aware of is this grassroots group is looking on implementing the plan. You guys are going to have a plan. That's a wonderful thing. What's more wonderful is implementing it. Okay, because at some point you have to implement your plan. The grassroots group, based on what I know, is focused on implementing it. You guys should know in detail what they're doing. What I know is what I can find out. But the board and the planning commission should know with great detail what they're working on.
I would think that it would be our planning commission would be implementing.
I think I'd like to step in for a second if I could.
Justin, please.
Because I've actually met with Saha, and I don't think implementing the plan is the right verbiage, John.
Okay.
They're interested in utilizing the plan
Excellent.
to get some structures built, and that's different. They're not trying to be a town agency. They're trying to be a developer of affordable housing.
Yeah.
Other towns have...
And you need to know that, and you need to know what they're doing.
Other towns have what's called a housing trust
Yep.
that handles these things, a quasi-governmental agency. Even towns like Kent have this, so towns smaller than us,
Yep.
that have been working on this for some amount of time. We all know 830G has been on the book since 1989. It's been around a long time. It's not a new thing. It's just that some towns have made an effort to do it, and others have not so much. So that's a clarification I would make about what this all is.
That would concern me that their job was to implement. It's not, it's that.
They are trying to find properties that can be developed.
And they can.
Yeah, of course they can. It's just a group of concerned citizens. I mean, they're looking for people to either donate money or land to them, which,
That's
a
the
tough
need for the
goal.
coordination, Jeff, between
tough goal.
planning, who has the plan or will have in a week or two, and what these folks want to do.
Yeah, and I've read the plan, and I commend everybody for the effort that they put into it so far, but there is a to-do list within that plan. So the plan is not done.
Right.
There's a to-do list in there, and I think there's more that should be added to, and I'll be at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Analyst of town, one of the things that you're looking at is, so sustainable, let me go down through partner.
Second up from the bottom.
Yeah, the sustainability piece, we're dropping out because that's the job of Chuck Liddy and his group. So
That group.
that's done.
Which is not it's not a Southbury
It's a volunteer organization.
volunteer
not affiliated
organization,
with the
right?
town.
Right.
That's working
It's another outside the government body, correct.
Okay, and then, the town governance, you're working on that?
Yeah, we've done some research on that, and we probably can make a presentation fairly shortly. The majority of the towns that have a town manager as opposed to a first selectman are in the capital region. So we're trying to get a referral from the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments to talk to the Council of Governments for the capital region and get more information. So we're still in the gathering information effort as we stand right now.
Yeah, one of my questions would be on that is, if you went to that, does it improve has it improved the towns that went to?
That's what we're researching. In other words, does it make a difference or not?
Right,
You know, and I think an early conversation we had with you, one measure was the mill rate. You know, did the mill rate for a town manager, is it better than one for a first selectman? And we're checking that out, trying to find out if that's a metric that we can measure.
yeah, or were these towns in trouble? You know, as I just, you know, looking at how this operates, you know, our town operates, you know, a little, we have a Board of Finance that controls what we can spend.
Right.
We have a board, I mean, you know, I always say that I just run the day-to-day operations, that I really don't have that much authority as much as everybody thinks that we do. I'm checked by the way the commissions and boards are made up.
Yes.
And some concern has been expressed to me that in the past, people have rejected wanting to go to a town manager and it has to be done during the, when they do the town charter.
Town charter. It's been I'm glad you brought that up. It was mentioned in the last 3 town charter revision efforts, and that's why it's on the chart. At a minimum, we want to learn more about it, and then, you know, make a presentation. Then you guys decide if you think it's worth doing anything or not. So we're still gathering information on that. But it was important enough that the Charter Revision Commission for the last 15 years have addressed that as an issue to investigate. That's a fact. I've been on the last 2 of them.
Okay. Any question on the strategic plan?
Just a quick comment on Sustainable Southbury and how the town is involved with that. I think with Kevin, they've actually filled out all their applications for the state and for their work, has been signed off on and submitted from the town, not from Sustainable Southbury. So I think the town
I think they
has
submitted on,
town letterhead.
yeah, on behalf of.
It has to be in coordination with the municipality. That's correct.
So I think Chuck Liddy's connection to the town is a little more formal than what you may be suggesting if it's not a complete third party.
Yeah, they've done their work to make this, and there were some things that were, some gaps in there that we've gotten. Okay. Any other question for John on this?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity
Thank you,
to
John.
speak. Thank you.
Okay, first selectmen's report. It's Emergency Services EMS Week. A shout out and a thank you to all the emergency management people who serve our community in this capacity. I know we all appreciate what they do every day. The other thing, I am told, we're implementing Oracle Financials. And the Oracle Financials are coming along pretty well. I guess we're pretty clean and pretty well, I guess there's a reason why they picked. I mean, although they want to do business with us, evidently we are running a pretty clean ship when it comes to that. So they're moving ahead. I think they'll wrap that up ahead of schedule, if we can. The other good news is the weather's been holding, and the weather's been good for chip sealing and paving. I think that will be wrapped up very early. They've been moving ahead. The weather's cooperated. We can get out of that phase of our road program. It's always difficult. People are not happy about it. But at the end of the day, I want to remind the public, I see it on social media, please go to our website. It explains the chip sealing and the fact that we were able to take $800,000 out of the road budget one year because we did not need it. It helped control cost. Just do the 15 miles an hour, be patient, and it'll be good. This is working out well where we're able to issue POs with this new system to keep it rolling along. They're not pulling off, they're not leaving town, they're not having to juggle and come back. And we ran out of all the chips that the Public Works screened all the chips and recycled them. We used that all up and then added some more. And something else I want to mention, I was pretty impressed with the Public Works Department and what they did. They bought electric battery-operated chainsaws, a couple of them. And they're carrying them in their truck. Now, obviously, in the cab of the truck, you don't want to carry the gas mixture. And what they did that for is if they drive down the road and they see something that's got to be cut up, they can stop. The chainsaw has gas, or it has the oil in it, the chainsaw oil. It's in the back of the truck. They can efficiently cut that up and not have to go back to get it, or make a note or do whatever. So this group that's working, I'm pretty impressed, which is, efficiency. You talk about efficiencies. The efficiencies start at the very ground level. So they actually bought the 2 batteries, and they even have the chargers hooked up in the truck to keep the battery charged.
That's great. That's great.
I mean, they're working well for us, which is really nice. Something I do want to bring up, Justin, we have the 85th, but we need to, when I talked to Jason today, just before the meeting, our 350th anniversary. And Jason suggested that we should probably, we want to get going on that. So we could put an e-blast out
For volunteers.
for volunteers, Facebook for volunteers. We can get some suggestions.
Well, we know Mary, of course, who wants to get in there.
I was thinking, I know there's a couple of people that we could all think of that should be on it, but
should probably
I felt that
recruit.
we should,
Should open it to everybody. You never know who's
open
gonna
it
pop
and
up that has
see who's interested.
experience. Yeah.
And it's a good thing Gosha's here, so she.
Gosha's here she's
taking notes.
she's already making notes on that. So we'll get something out and then we'll push it out. Maybe I can get that done tomorrow.
Great.
And then get a group together and see who could spearhead this. I mean, and see who would like to be on it. John Michaels had delivered to me today a tercentennial coin that he had somewhere. I'm sure I can dig up a few. I can loan some tercentennial books out if some of the selectmen want to. And my mother had one; she had 10. And see what we can come up with, and maybe get this moving forward a little bit. I don't think it would be as robust as it was, but it would be nice to couple with the 85th of the Boones, roll it all together, and get the people in Southbury excited on that. Any questions of me? No? Reports from liaisons? Justin?
So, Economic Development met last night, and one of the presentations was from the Arts and Culture Group that I think John was referencing. It's a couple members of the commission that are interested in having them create a subcommittee. You know, they made a presentation, actually have some of it here, as a preliminary draft, and they're gonna keep working on it.
Okay.
So that should be interesting. Just give you a quick overview. An arts and culture subcommittee can be an invaluable asset to the community because it enhances the community's appeal, can help attract residents. Art-related events can generate foot traffic, which is good for our local businesses. Arts and culture tourism are good for the local economy. The arts bring people together, benefits all age groups, young and old, and it can help celebrate Southbury's rich history and our local talent. So
Perhaps we can bring this group in under this 350.
yeah, that would be fantastic,
We-
because there's a lot of, I mean, you know, we just had the Region 15 art show. There's a lot of talent in the town, and this is a way to showcase it. And also, you know, there's also talent in the town that is selling art on places like Etsy, and we can help them, you know, make a little more money. So anyway, I thought it was very interesting. They will come here at some point and talk to us. This was just a preliminary, hey, we're thinking about this, what do you folks think? And it was met with a lot of support, so we'll keep an eye on that. They're still working on the dog parade, trying to nail down a weekend in September. Part of the issue is coordinating with the ACO. They want the ACO to be involved. So it's looking like, I think it's late September at this point, but they're gonna nail it down pretty soon because they'll have to. So anyway, that's sort of what they're working on at the moment. Strategic plan met last week. We got updates from a lot of the things that we just saw there. And the subject was broached, you know, with an affordable housing plan out and sustainable Southbury. Does that group need to keep looking at those things? So it's good that we talked about that today. IPOC will be meeting on June 8th. Our May meeting got pushed. And that's it for now.
Okay. Jason?
So the library board met last week. The Friends reported that they had another very successful book sale. And the board approved throughout the year, at various times, you'll see sales in the lobby area. So the board approved allowing them to do a summer sale as well. So there'll be that. The board is continuing its efforts in naming a poet laureate. So they set up a process. There's going to be applications over the summer. There's a panel that's been put together that's going to interview people in the fall. And then the timeline is to hopefully announce someone in October, I believe. The librarians gave a presentation on library programming and how it comes about and the factors involved and how they select what programs to do. And I could probably get a copy of that and circulate it. And as part of their process of continuing to update various policies, next one they're tackling is their meeting room policy. And they're probably gonna take a look at that at their next meeting. The other boards didn't meet, but there are a couple things going on. LEPC meets next week. But also next week is the state's having a emergency planning preparedness, the state's emergency planning and preparedness initiative is having a statewide exercise. And it's focusing on hurricane preparedness. So next week, we're gonna open an EOC and have simulations and drills throughout the day on hurricane preparedness. EMS committee meets next week as well, but Jeff mentioned this, the EMS committee, Tim Baldwin on behalf of the committee did send out a thanks to our service providers, volunteers, personnel, first responders, the EMS community, in honor of EMS week for everything they do, especially during, you know, it's been a difficult time for folks in that arena, and they've served our community well, and we thank them, and you know, always, but you know, remember and appreciate them this week. So, thanks.
John?
Great. So this week, or last week, I was able to sit in on Parks and Recreation. you know, as I sit in on different, these different two commissions that I sit in on, and, you know, there's very few public that come. Again, there's no public comment. I encourage people to come in and sit and listen to what's going on. There's a lot of great work being done and some really good activity. We have a new recreation coordinator, Sarah, who's joined in on the team April 11th. Very impressive, very talented, putting a lot of good stuff together, helping the team. So they're catching up on getting all their programs and activities together so that they're pretty well organized. The new, the April vacation camps were sold out, 24 campers. On the program side, the community garden is sold out. The rec basketball is returned for a second season. Co-ed softball is back. So there's a great list of adventure camp that they were talking very highly of, Teenscape, and then a CIT program, a counselor in training. So one of the things as they're developing the programs each year, getting those counselors in. So the idea of taking younger adults who can be trainees, and then the next year they can come in and be full-fledged counselors. So some pretty good programs coming together. They do have a couple of upcoming events, so concerts 4 consecutive Mondays starting July 11th, movie night August 8th, and then the Southbury celebration. They're pretty excited about also. Also swim lessons. There's a lot going on down there. Strongly encourage you guys, you know, everybody to get involved. And then the, and this is for the Conservation Commission. Now, I did not get to sit in on this, so I'm reading some notes that were sent to me or reviewing that. They're talking about some, at Bennett Park, developing some budget needs for the stabilizing of the riverbank. Some of that work has not come together, I think, the way they were hoping on, so they're looking to get approval from inlet wetlands and put together some funding strategies for that. Still working on some grills that were being installed by Public Works, so that, I guess, is getting a little closer. And then down in Jeannie Pierce Park, they're working on treating boardwalks down there. So one of the over time, slipperiness, moss growing on them. So they've come up with a treatment plan that they're going to give it a test and see how that works out. And then lastly, or a couple other things going on with taking care of some algae and curly leaf pond weed, so treatment there. And then some work in Platt Park for widening the yellow trails. And then down in Shortsfield, taking care of some Japanese knotweed. So again, a lot of great work being done. Much of the work on that Conservation Commission is work done, not only planned and scheduled and prepared by that commission, but also executed and performed by them as volunteers. So great group of people, and nice to participate in some of the work they do and keep a good ear out for them.
I do want to, I think I'd like to just make a little comment here is, I drove around our parks the other day, I had some time and people were out. The grass is green, it looks good. The parks are doing very well and they look very, very good. And the only heat I'm getting is from my family about Seaman Park and the fence around it. So I guess I'm getting pressure from my public, which is my family. Like, geez, what about that fence? But we'll get to that one too. But it looks really good. Our outside services guys are doing a great job. It looks pretty good out there. Greg is not here. And Holly, you have anything from Region 15?
Not a whole lot, and that's because I have not yet been able to view the video from last Monday yet. I was traveling this week, so I have some catch up to do there, but overwhelming this time of year, we're wrapping up. It's less than 1 month for middle school moving up, and 1 month from tomorrow, our high schoolers will be walking and graduating. So it's a, it's a nice time of year. I think everybody is ready. Everybody's ready for summer, and so I will report back in our next meeting did review the agenda, and it seemed to be, nothing too earth-shattering. I didn't see any presentations or anything like that.
I think summer's coming this weekend, right?
That's right.
It's gonna be hot.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carries. Thank you, everybody. Sorry to keep you late.